The most famous shipwrecks in Canadian history. G'day guys, how's it going? My name is AussieTash. I've wanted to do a video about this for a really long time. I'm really interested in the history of the Vikings and the maritime history of Canada. So we're going to start with this video, and if you want to learn more guys, in the comments, let me know. Send me some suggestions on Discord and we'll watch some more. Okay, let's get into this one. The most famous shipwrecks in Canadian history. Let's go.
Famous shipwrecks in Canadian history. From doomed Arctic expeditions to disastrous maiden voyages, these tragic shipwrecks have become the stuff of legend.
Yeah.
SS Edmund Fitzgerald. Immortalized by the Gordon Lightfoot ballad, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, the tragic demise of the largest ship in Great Lakes history is haunting to this day.
Wow.
On November 10, 1975, the 722-foot-long Edmund Fitzgerald, carrying over 26,000 tons of iron ore from Superior, Wisconsin to Detroit, Michigan, ran into a vicious storm. The ship, along with her 29-man crew, sank in Lake Superior, 27 kilometers from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. After investigating the disaster, the U.S. Coast Guard and National Transportation Safety Board agreed that flooding from faulty cargo hatches caused the sinking. The Basque vessels of Red Bay. In the tiny fishing village of Red Bay in Newfoundland and Labrador, you'll find one of the best preserved underwater archaeological sites in North America.
Wow.
Between 1543 and the 1570s, the Basques, a European ethnic group from the Pyrenees region between modern-day France and Spain, came to these waters in search of bowhead whales. Blubber from the whales was used for lighting, soap making, and textile manufacturing. In 1978, a team from Parks Canada located several sunken chalupas, as well as the San Juan, a Basque galleon that sunk in the fall of 1565.
1565.
The whaling stations of Red Bay were designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2013. RMS.
Okay, hold on. 1575. So they have wreckages of a shipwreck from 1575. Oh my gosh. That is really cool to think about the history that dates back, what, 300-400 years ago. Oh my gosh. Absolutely incredible. I have done a video on the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. I know about the bells. It's really cool. A really sad story, but guys, yep, if you haven't seen that video, please check it out. Here we go. Probably the most famous shipwreck of all. It sunk off Canada, didn't it? The RMS Titanic. Let's go.
Titanic. Perhaps the world's most famous shipwreck, the story of the RMS Titanic has been recounted in books, songs, and films. Almost everyone knows the basics. In the early morning of April 15, 1912, the British ocean liner struck an iceberg, flooded with water, and sank into the North Atlantic, 640 kilometers south of St. John's. Considered an unsinkable ship by its owners at the White Star Line, approximately 1,635 of the 2,200 passengers and crew perished in the freezing ocean waters. In 1985, a joint French-American expedition discovered the wreck at a depth of 12,500 feet.
That's crazy.
The two halves of the ship lie about 600 meters apart. SS Atlantic.
Okay, so what's so crazy about the Titanic is the explorations. What people will do to see this vessel. Oh my gosh, what happened with that little thing? It imploded, man. There was, what, 4 of them in there, and they were going down to see the Titanic in that little submarine thing with a remote control based on a PS controller or something to get them all the way down there. Absolutely crazy. I think James Cameron, a fellow Canadian, has said that he has spent more time down where the Titanic is than the actual captain of the Titanic did. He's gone down there like 33 times or something crazy like that. The story is absolutely tragic. It's a ship. It's not unsinkable. It's made of iron, mate. It can sink. And the story of the lifeboats and how there was never enough lifeboats at the start, just absolutely crazy. And how close were they to New York, man? It sunk off Canada. It sunk off Halifax. They were really close to making their voyage, man. Really sad. Okay, let's move on to the next shipwreck.
The Titanic wasn't the first ship from the White Star Line to meet a tragic end.
Oh, really?
On April 1, 1873, while transporting some 975 passengers and crew from Liverpool to New York City, the SS Atlantic smashed into the rocky shores of Lower Prospect, a fishing community in Nova Scotia. The Atlantic's captain, James A. Williams, had originally intended to go to Halifax to get more coal, but strong currents sent the ship dangerously off course. More than
Okay.
500 people died in the wreck, but had it not been for the life-saving efforts of Lower Prospects residents, that number would have been higher. RMS Empress of Ireland. Known as the Canadian Titanic, the RMS Empress of Ireland is the deadliest shipwreck in Canadian history.
Okay.
On the morning of May 29, 1914, the SS Storstad, a Norwegian steam cargo ship, collided into the Empress of Ireland near the mouth of the St. Lawrence River. The Empress was traveling to Liverpool from Quebec, but a thick fog made it difficult for both ships to navigate. In the wake of the Titanic disaster, the Empress of Ireland was equipped with watertight compartments and a surplus of lifeboats. The modifications, however, were futile. The ocean liner sank into the water in less than 15 minutes, taking with it the lives of 1,012 of the 1,477 on board.
So this was 2 years later, 2 years after the Titanic, because the Titanic sunk in, 1912? This was 1914. So this is a couple of years after the Titanic. Wow, it's really, really tragic to think of, isn't it? But Nova Scotia, Halifax, the waters around there, they just weren't safe for vessels and ships like this. It just was horrible. The waters are just way too rough. Icebergs, the conditions, fogs, everything like that. Absolutely tragic.
HMS Erebus and HMS Terror. In 1845, explorer Sir John Franklin set sail from England with two ships, HMS Erebus and HMS Terror, in search of the Northwest Passage across the Canadian Arctic.
Wow.
The two ships became icebound in the Victoria Strait in present-day Nunavut.
Oh.
By 1848, Franklin had died, and the surviving crew members abandoned the two ships, never to be heard from again.
You think?
In 2014, an Inuit/Parks Canada joint expedition led to the discovery of the Erebus, while the Terror was located 2 years later. Researchers have concluded that hypothermia, starvation, lead poisoning and scurvy were the leading causes of death for the crewmen. Among their grisly discoveries were cut marks on bones that suggest some of the men resorted to cannibalism. HMS Investigator. In 1848, the HMS Investigator was sent to look for the lost Franklin expedition. Unfortunately, the Investigator itself was doomed, becoming icebound near Banks Island in the Inuvik region of the Northwest Territories.
Wow.
With crew members suffering from freezing temperatures and starvation, the ship was abandoned in 1853. Surviving crewmen were miraculously rescued by another British ship, the HMS Resolute. In 2010, a team of Parks Canada scientists, archaeologists, and surveyors began searching for the Investigator. The ship was found just 8 meters below the surface. Unlike the mysterious Franklin expedition, 2 written accounts of the Investigator disaster exist, from the ship's captain and surgeon, respectively. Sweepstakes.
It's very, very interesting, old shipwrecks, the history behind them and stuff like that. When you can get to them safely, that's cool to explore them. But yeah, the whole Titanic thing, it's just nuts. It's absolutely nuts. I am enjoying this video. It's really, really cool. Guys, some of these shipwrecks, are you allowed to, go and visit them? Are you allowed to go and snorkel there? It might be, that's a little bit too cold. We do have some famous shipwrecks in Australia that you can go snorkel and stuff off. I'm not quite too sure where. I think it's like, up in Queensland and stuff like that. But obviously the water is going to be a lot warmer. There's icebergs here. So maybe you can snorkel and see and explore the shipwrecks. Maybe you can't, guys. In the comments, let me know.
The Sweepstakes was a Canadian sailing vessel that was damaged by a rock near Cove Island in Tobermory, Ontario, in 1885. It was towed to nearby Big Tub Harbor to be mended, but repairs weren't finished in time and the schooner sank. Although she continues to deteriorate each year, the Sweepstakes is actually one of the best-preserved shipwrecks in the Great Lakes, and a popular tourist attraction for divers and snorkelers in Tobermory.
There's an example.
Robert Kerr. On June 13, 1886, controlled burns set by the Canadian Pacific Railway to clear fallen trees accidentally triggered the Great Vancouver Fire. In a matter of hours, the entire western portion of the city was engulfed in flames. During the disaster, which would leave more than 1,000 people homeless, an estimated 200 sought refuge aboard the Robert Kerr, a schooner named after a then-prominent trader. The ship escaped a fiery fate and continued to operate until 1911, when she struck reefs near Thetis Island off the coast of BC, becoming one of Canada's most famous shipwrecks. The life-saving ship is officially recognized by the British Columbia Heritage Conservation Act, and her wreckage remains a popular site for divers. HMS St. Lawrence. During the War of 1812, clashing British and American forces raced to gain control of Lake Ontario. For the British, the pride of the fleet was the HMS St. Lawrence, the largest and most heavily armed warship of its time. Christened after the river of the same name, the warship carried 112 guns, housed 800 crew members, and measured 194 feet long from stern to bow. The St. Lawrence, however, would ultimately never fire a shot, and instead spent the duration of the war transporting supplies and troops. After the war, she was decommissioned and, in 1832, what remained of her sank in the lake. Her
Aw.
final resting place, Kingston Harbor, has become a popular diving spot.
Okay, there you go. We've got the most famous shipwrecks in Canadian history. I know Canada has some really fascinating Viking, pirate, and maritime history. Guys, if you'd like me to explore it some more, in the comments, let me know. Join me on Discord. You'll find the link in the description down below, and put your suggestions up there and we can learn and explore some more together. Okay, that was the video for today. If you liked it, please jump on, smash the like button, leave a comment, and of course remember to subscribe. That really helps me out. Cheers from down under. Take care. Bye.